This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Emily Dickinson and Walt Whitman are often recognized as the most influential American poets who shaped various literary canons. This paper is aimed at examining the similarities and differences between the themes that they explore. One can discuss these issues by analyzing poems such as Song of Myself by Walt Whitman and My Life Had Stood a Loaded Gun by Emily Dickinson. Overall, it is possible to argue that both authors focus on how individuals perceive their inner world and their relations with other people. These poems are primarily introspective. However, some differences should be considered. In particular, Walt Whitman focuses on the experiences of a free individual whose societal conventions cannot restrict. Additionally, the unnamed narrator of this poem stresses his self-sufficiency. In contrast, Emily Dickinson describes a person who is not independent. The narrator of her poem is guided by an external force. In fact, this narrator is compared to an object that can be manipulated. To a great extent, this poem reflects Emily Dickinson's vulnerability and religiousness. The main similarity between these two poems is that the authors show how the narrators perceive their own experiences and their position relative to others. For instance, Walt Whitman's narrator says, "I celebrate myself and sing myself." To some degree, this author wants to emphasize his freedom, independence, and ability to appreciate the beauty of nature. This person wants to reflect on his feelings or emotions evoked by various visual images and his encounters with other people. In turn, Emily Dickinson's narrator also lays stress on her identity. It should be noted that the gender of the storyteller is not identified. Still, Emily Dickinson wants to show how this person examines her inner world. Nevertheless, it is essential to illustrate the main differences between the unnamed narrators since their worldviews and emotional experiences are not comparable. At first, one should mention that Walt Whitman focuses on the experiences of a person who feels completely self-sufficient. Moreover, this individual believes that he is not limited by any artificial or natural barriers. This is one of the reasons why he says, "The big doors of the country barn stand open and ready." Furthermore, this person is amazed by his lightness and glee that will enable him to overcome various difficulties. Additionally, the narrative of this person suggests that he is not guided by social or legal conventions. In particular, he speaks about his encounter with a runaway slave. The narrator welcomes the fugitive, lets him stay in his cabin, and offers food to this victim of injustice. The main character is not restricted by existing stereotypes, according to which black people could be discriminated against due to their alleged inferiority. In turn, it is essential to show how this person differs from the narrator of Emily Dickinson's poem. Overall, this author focuses on the experiences of a person who does not believe that she is independent. In particular, this narrator compares oneself to a loaded gun. Additionally, the author notes that this individual was carried away just like an object. The narrator also notes that she can become a deadly foe for every enemy of her master. So, one cannot say that the storyteller can act independently. This character differs dramatically from the protagonist described by Walt Whitman. In turn, one should examine the underlying causes of these distinctions because they can be related to the beliefs and values of these poets. To a great extent, these distinctions can be explained by various social and philosophical influences that shaped the worldviews of Walt Whitman and Emily Dickinson. In particular, Walt Whitman accepted the ideas of transcendentalism. This philosophical movement is based on the premise that social and political institutions tend to destroy the integrity of an individual. Moreover, a person can discover her best qualities only when he is completely independent or even isolated from other people. This is why Walt Whitman highlights these themes in the poem. Admittedly, Emily Dickinson also admired transcendentalism, especially the literary works of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Nevertheless, she was also driven by the need for affection and religiousness. In many cases, she emphasized her devotion to God. In her opinion, this supreme being guides every action of an individual. This is why the notion of free will does not play an important role in her poem. These are some of the points that can be made. On the whole, this discussion shows that Emily Dickinson and Walt Whitman focus on introspection in their poetic works. The authors illustrate how the main characters experience various moments of their lives. The poets want to show how narrators see their role in the surrounding world. The main issue is that Walt Whitman and Emily Dickinson focus on people whose worldviews differ considerably. Whitman's character is not bound by any natural or social barriers that can prevent him from achieving growth. In turn, Emily Dickinson describes the life of a person who is guided or driven by some external force. It is possible that this force can be regarded as the supreme being. These are some of the main issues that readers should take into account. This essay on Walt Whitman's and Emily Dickinson's poetry was written and submitted by a student just like you. The Ivy Panda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one, on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for.